Special Investigating Unit also been given a green light to investigate and recover monies lost through corruption. President Cyril Ramaphosa has authorized 5 proclamations which will essentially allow the SIU to look into the affairs of various government entities, including Sassa and the South African Council of Educators. Health departments in various provinces will also be probed. Let's get a sense of how this will unfold and bring in the spokesperson of the SIU, Kaizer Kganyago, who's live to us via our video link this morning. Great to have you on the program as always, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time. I wonder how different, if different at all, these particular investigations will be to the other probes you've conducted in the past.
Good morning, Ayanda, and good morning to your viewers. This is not going to be any different. It's just that, like we had in COVID, we had an overarching kind of a proclamation that was dealing with everything. In this particular instance, we've got a proclamation on all the provincial and national Department of Health in relation to medico-legal, which is one proclamation, but it allows us to investigate in all the provinces and the national department. And the others are just individual proclamations that are put forward.
Right. My understanding is that it will essentially allow the SIU to investigate unlawful and improper conduct as well as irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure by some of these institutions or, in fact, the state itself. It sounds very broad to my untrained mind. Where do you start?
Yes, the first one, maybe let me start with the one with medico-legal or medical claims that are done in the Department of Health. We did an investigation on a secondment in the Department of, by the Premier of Gauteng, and we are looking at the Department of Health in Gauteng because of the large amounts that were paid on medical claims. And we found that this was a scheme that people were involved. There were nurses, there were lawyers, and there were people that were heavily involved in scamming government. And we also had the similar one in the Eastern Cape. And that has led us to then go back to the president and say we need a broader kind of a proclamation that will assist us in achieving what we want to achieve. That is in relation to the Department of Health. People need to understand that there are people who create fictitious people who are supposedly not treated well, and then they go and create a medical claim that they do, and they work with a cabal of people, lawyers and nurses and so on, and they claim large amount of money from government, and that is costing the department a lot of money. That is in relation to the first one.
Yeah.
The Sassa one, it is different because it has got many different things that we are looking into, like the refurbishment of the offices in the Eastern Cape. We have got medical goods services that we are looking into, cleaning services, Eastern Cape. Medical goods services are in Gauteng, and then KwaZulu-Natal, we are looking at the procurement of blankets and some other cleaning tenders. Then we've got a separate one, which is the Newcastle municipality, where we are looking at how the pipelines that they created and how they got professional services like revenue management and supply chain management, how they secured the batteries and the battery chargers for whatever they were dealing with, and the construction of the pipeline, whatever. And then in terms of South African Council of Educators, it is how they procured the building that they bought in the Eastern Cape. And then lastly, the Department of Transport, mainly it is in relation with the issues that deals with what came out of the Auditor General's report where there was fruitless expenditure. We are asked to look into all of those things to check what really happened.
You know, your description around the medical claims investigation reminds me of the last time I spoke to you when you inadvertently found that people in the transport department had also been essentially creating fake identities, if not using the identities of people who've died, in order to claim back from the department itself. And part of what you raised back then is that this was allowed to happen because of collusion, essentially, that happens between the people who are hoping to get away with these crimes and corrupt government officials. Are you finding that in most, if not all of these kind of probes, these crimes are only successful because there's someone willing and able within government to cooperate with corruption, essentially?
In most of the instances, Ayanda, that is the modus operandi. Like in this particular instance, there are nurses who are working with these syndicates. And nurses go into a hospital, and when somebody, for example, has got a medical condition, then they exaggerate that medical condition and say that this person, because of negligence in the hospitals, this person is now unable to work, and then they go to a doctor, and the doctor then says this person is mentally disturbed, for example, and then this person will now have to be paid for the rest of their lives because they are not going to be able to work. And then they take this to magistrates and they work with them, and then they are able to do that. And all of these things are assisted by the fact that there are people who are willing and who benefit out of it from the departments that are involved. And that is why you will see in the proclamation, it talks about we have got to look at the people that are involved and what they did, and then deal with them accordingly.
But depending how far down the line you go, you could find yourself having to investigate all hosts of people. What kind of, I guess, boundaries do you have to set? I guess it's some kind of terms of reference that you have to define before getting into this investigation, before you find yourself going into some kind of rabbit hole.
No, we don't work that way, and we look at the processes. I always mention that we don't investigate people. We look into the processes, and once we find that something has gone wrong, then the next question will be who did what or did not do what. We only find the people after we have found something has gone wrong and the processes that were done were not done in a lawful manner. They were improper and they were fraudulent.
All right, Kaizer Kganyago, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. You don't need me to tell you, your work seems very cut out for you in the possibly weeks, months, perhaps even years ahead. For now, thanks very much indeed.